Hello, everyone. This is Seth here with the World of Paleoanthropology, and today I'm joined with, or for a special episode, I should say, special edition episode, because there's some community engagement work we need to do here in the larger anthropological community. And I'm joined today by Dr. Bridget Alex from Sapiens magazine, who is facing a bit of a crisis. The magazine is facing a bit of a crisis. If you've not heard, uh, if you could explain to us a little bit about what's going on and frankly what we can do to help.
Sure. Thanks for having me on, Seth. I'm a fan of your show, and all the outreach that you do. We're, cut from the same cloth in terms of caring about sharing paleoanthropology with the world. And I work at Sapiens Magazine. If you haven't heard of it, or if you're the biggest fan in the world, a quick review of it is that we're a free digital open access magazine that nowadays all of our articles are written by anthropologists or people in related fields, but they're written in a way that any person could understand with and appreciate, whether they have a lot of background in anthropology or none at all. And we're writing for truly global audiences. It's a tremendous resource. There's a lot more we do. We have podcasts, we have poetry, we have teaching resources on there. So curated articles divided into subdisciplines and by theme, as well as this amazing training modules
Hmm.
for public writing. So if you're a scholar who wants to get into public writing, or you're a member of the public who wants to read about scholarship in a way that, first of all, you can access because it's free. And second of all, it's written in a way that is hopefully entertaining, enriching, and comprehensible. That is basically what we do at Sapiens Magazine. The crisis is that our funders, the Wenner-Gren Foundation, which is a tremendous resource for anthropology funding, primarily they spend their money funding anthropology research for scholars at different stages of their career. But they also support Sapiens Magazine. They are the board of trustees there is considering closing the magazine any day now. They should make their decision. And we've been the staff at Sapiens. It's a very small team. Um, just a few of us make up the full-time Sapiens employees. We're doing what we can to get the word out that this is an incredible resource and important for the world as journalism is under attack. We, as scholars, are under attack, as research is under attack, as the topics that anthropology covers are under attack. We think it's very important that we exist. We do have, and hopefully you can post it, we have a letter writing campaign through Action Network where you can send the Board of Trustees letters that say why Sapiens matters, what it means to you if you're a fan. If you haven't seen it before, check it out, sapiens.org. You'll probably find something you like there. We write about everything human. So if you like anything human, you'll probably find an article that you like. And my particular role there is I'm editor for archaeology and biological anthropology stories. That's what my PhD is in both subfields, and particularly focusing on paleoanthropology. So I'm working with people who want to share stories about, I mean, what brought you to this interview, to this podcast, to this station?
Right,
We have
exactly,
stuff for you at
exactly.
Sapiens Magazine.
And that's, I mean, I support open and free access science in general, but that's one of the main reasons, why I also wanted to bring you on was this is about paleoanthropology and anthropology. This is an open access resource that is facing being taken away. And as you're saying, so much of what we understand and do already is under attack. We really need to try to preserve and put our strengths together and our efforts together to try to preserve what we do have. Is there a, so you have the letter writing campaign. Is there a way if the foundation decides to cut funding that the magazine can survive in another form or on its own, or are there backup plans, I guess you could say?
Yeah, that's a great question. I mean, we've started to think about that, and I should say a little more background is that um, Sapiens has developed and evolved. It first originated in 2016 or launched in 2016. And at the start, they mostly had journalists writing. But then over the years, we realized that we kind of have a twofold mission. One is to get anthropology to the public, but also to train anthropologists to be better at public communication. So that's why now all of our authors or people making or speaking on the podcast or people making a photo essay, all of our content creators, we can call them, are anthropologists. And when they work on essays with us, it goes through many months of development, usually, where we give really thoughtful um, kind of teaching model feedback so that hopefully we empower them to go off and write for other places. Like we want them to write for The Guardian and the New York Times and all the,
Hmm.
and in fact, we will help them pitch to those places. I do. We offer a lot of workshops, and so it's not just about the content that's on the website. It's about
Hmm.
empowering anthropologists to be better at public communication so that even, if they're in line at the coffee shop and somebody says, "What do you do?" they can explain it in a way that hopefully makes the world more on board with what we're doing as anthropologists. But back to your original question, so we, in our, more recent form for the past few years, the Wenner-Gren Foundation had a partnership with the University of Chicago Press, which was our administrative home. So basically, Wenner-Gren give them money, and University of Chicago provided our benefits, and it's where I had to file my sick days and things like that. Um,
Hmm.
and then our small staff, there's three of us who are eligible to unionize because we're full-time staff members who aren't management. Myself, the editor who does the sociocultural and linguistics pieces, and the editor who does fact-checking, copy editing, and poetry. We're the three eligible ones, and we formed a union last fall. And both Chicago Press and the Wenner-Gren Foundation recognized our union, so we were happy about that. And then come this year, we're prepared for our first contract negotiation, like pumped up for it, ready.
Yeah.
Because I must say our salaries are meager, um,
Right.
but we're doing this because we care. We would like fair wages,
Right.
where after I pay for my baby's daycare, I have more than $700 left every month would be a nice.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
kind of the rate of pay that we're at here. Um, and so yeah, right before our first contract negotiations, University of Chicago Press ended the partnership, but when
Mm.
continued. And so we've been looking for a new partner that could be our administrative home and haven't yet found one. Um, and we have till the end of the calendar year to do so. Chicago is sticking with us till the end of the calendar year, but for whatever reason, the Wintergren Board of Trustees seems poised to end us sooner. And we, a couple weeks ago, got word that they're, as soon as this week, going to decide whether to keep or close the magazine. And when exactly we would close would be subject to further negotiations because we have about 70 stories that are in progress right now
Oh
with
wow.
authors working hard on them, between the three or four of us who
Hmm.
stories. And we don't want to, just end those stories. People are, on their fourth draft. People have put time and effort into it, both on our editorial side and the anthropologists who are writing them. So we would hope they would let us at least continue to finish those stories, but hopefully they would continue us for the future. And the justification is that with all the federal funding cuts to anthropology research, when our
Right.
graduation is one of the last places left, that's really going to stand up and support anthropology research. But we don't feel like we're this extra flashy, fun extravagance on top of the research funding.
Hmm.
We know that we're essential to research because if scholars aren't explaining why this matters, there's no support for it. It doesn't matter if you don't explain why it matters. If a tree falls in the
100%.
forest, right? So we don't think the solution to um, funding being under attack is just giving more money for funding. We also need to create a society where, that research comes back and people actually gain something from it and hear about it and understand why they should keep supporting it.
Absolutely. And that's where science engagement and science communication comes in, and where Sapiens just shines as a resource. And one of the reasons why it would be such a shame for it to disappear is so many researchers, they can be the greatest researcher on the face of the planet, but so often they do not know how to communicate their ideas, their work, their hypotheses to the public. And as you mentioned, without that engagement and without public interest, there's really no point to science or to spending so much money on scientific endeavors if they're not going to end up benefiting the public in some way. And taking away these resources that are free just seems very, I mean, it seems aligned with the trends and the way the world is going right now, but seems very backwards in the sense of where we should be going. And I do want to emphasize again that there's a letter writing campaign. I'm going to put a link for that in the description. Try to get as many letters written to the Board of Trustees as possible.
Oh gosh, I still didn't. It sounds like I'm deflecting your question, but all of
Oh,
that trying to
no,
say we haven't really thought about if they close us, what else could we do? Because
right.
this announcement came so suddenly that we've just been scrambling to let the Board of Trustees know, like, this is really valuable to many people, many places, not just
Yeah,
us, but
absolutely.
so that we're in triage mode, sort of like get try to save ourselves as we are. And if that doesn't work out, then we'll be thinking about what else could we do.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. And I think that regardless of what happens, I think the magazine will continue in some form. I really believe that. Um, and you guys have my full and absolute support in whatever you guys do in any way that I can help. I hope this little interview spreads some information, gets some letters written, gets some attention to the Werner Grant Foundation, whether that's sending them more donations so they can help more, or, you know, telling them how important Sapiens is for science advocacy and communication. And the stories that you guys share are not, I mean, like, I write blog posts about fossils and cave art and whatnot, but you guys, while that's included, are telling stories of what it means to be human and the human story. And that is so critical and so important. And I think it would be such a shame for the community, whether the scientific community or the student community or anywhere in between, to lose that would be such a shame. And I just think anything that we can do as colleagues in this large field to save this magazine, we should all be trying to do. And I hope this message reaches the Werner Grant Foundation. Um, and hopefully a lot of people will hear the need of this. And if you were to say what obviously your biggest hope is that they don't close the magazine. Like that's the goal, the biggest hope. But let's say things go as you want and they don't close it. What would be next for Sapiens? Like, what can we look forward to in a world where things go well? Let's be a little optimistic.
Yeah, I mean, I think we really have a dream team together for the small staff that does exist there. Combined, we have decades and decades of experience in anthropology, journalism, and professional editing and education, which is really the combo of expertise that you need to guide scholars into creating content, writing for the public. So we'd love to keep doing what we're doing and have more full-time staff. Currently, the person who does is doing our photos, and layout and layout planning, and social media is a contractor that used to be a full-time position. We have contractors that we hire to help with the podcast, and other things that we do. So having more full-time staff would be great. As I mentioned, our wages are pretty meager, and it's kind of hard to swallow or believe when the Winter Ground Foundation says they don't have funding to even keep the magazine alive, let alone pay us a fair wages when you can look at their publicly available tax records and see that the president makes over $400,000 a
Hmm.
year, and we're asking for like a little 10,000 extra or something again.
Oh, yeah,
So and the
makes
whole
sense.
whole operating costs for Sapiens every year, is close to that. So, uh,
Mhm.
the president's salary. So,
Oh, okay. Yeah, yeah.
yeah, it seems like there could be a way. We hope they'll find a way. That many organizations in times of crisis finds a way to run things more efficiently. But yeah, going forward, we want to keep doing what we're doing, and particularly like we run a lot of workshops. We like we run fellowships where and that it's another thing we would like to keep going. We just finished a 3-year grant from another foundation that we got because we also apply for grants to support other things we're doing. Awesome grant we had from the Templeton Foundation that for 3 years we had 10 fellows each year who created a podcast episode, wrote an essay for Sapiens, and then we helped them pitch to another outlet where most of them published to, some other news or magazine organization. And they received intensive training in all aspects of it. We met with them on Zoom basically every week through the fall and spring. And so the last cohort just finished, and you'll be seeing their stories in the coming couple months, assuming we don't immediately close this week. Their stories are ready
Yeah,
and ready
yeah.
to world to see them. So yeah, those kind of things where people get the opportunity. And I'm running a fellowship that's in partnership with Harvard University's Peabody Museum, American School of Prehistoric Research. So it's particularly focused on paleoanthropology and
Hmm.
like archaeology, scholars of prehistory. And so we have 6 fellows who we brought to Harvard for a weekend of intensive pop sci, and it was like an embarrassment of riches for the people who came. We had experts podcasting, someone from Nova talking about video production. We had a journalist who does a daily radio show talking about how to do interviews if you're being interviewed. And then I talked about writing for the public. And then they kept meeting with me on Zoom after. And now they've all have drafts of stories about their own research, which is varied and super interesting, but all deals with paleo things. And so those essays, again, assuming we don't close in the coming week, totally, will be coming out in the next few months, and I'm really excited. And your audience will definitely like them.
I'm sure they will. I'm sure they will. So I know you probably have to go soon. I hear some crying in the background. I just want to thank you for coming on so much. I really want to do everything that we can to try to save and preserve this amazing resource that I've enjoyed, that I've benefited from for years. I know many thousands of people who have as well, and it would truly be a shame for this magazine, this resource, the workshops, the everything to just disappear because certain people like to make more money maybe than they should. I don't know. Um, but I wish the absolute best for you and your team and the union and everything that can happen. And I we will do our best to keep this going.
Thanks so much, and thanks for what you do.
All right. Thank you so much. It was a pleasure having you on.
Nice chatting. Bye.